Hello, ladies. It's Rosetta, and I am coming to you live from my suite in Honolulu. I have not done a live stream here in our group in a while, and I'm excited to connect with you on a very special topic on a very special day because it's Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day. I would love to know what you did today. I really spent most of the day working, honestly, and cooking and cleaning up because I'm on a special healthy diet right now. So I really don't want to go out and get tempted. I'm in Honolulu and my man is in San Diego. So we connected over the phone, but I am normally not home on the evening of Valentine's Day, but I am this year. And so I thought I would come on and share with you a topic that has been on my mind for a while. So whether you are single, you're booed up, you're married, I think this topic would really serve you. So as you jump on, say hello and tell me where you are watching from. Facebook has this cool little heart background thing going on, so I'm enjoying that. Hey Kristen, hey Quanisha, nice to see you ladies on here. So our topic today is love yourself the way you want to be loved by someone else. Love yourself the way you want to be loved by someone else. Whether you're watching live or watching the replay, if you're popping in watching the replay, I still want to know where you are watching from so I can get to know all the ladies in our tribe here. But what I have noticed is that, again, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, that there's this sense with women that we have to wait for someone to love us. We have to wait for someone to treat us a certain way. And the truth is that the big lesson I've learned around self-love over the past few years is that anytime I've been waiting for someone to love me, the person I've truly been waiting for is me, is myself. So if you have found yourself waiting for someone to love you, waiting for this magical opportunity to appear, this magical person to appear, the truth is that you are waiting for you. Like, you're not waiting for him, you're not waiting for her, you're not waiting for them, you're waiting for you. Anytime you find yourself feeling unhappy or lonely or really depressed because of what someone else didn't do, there's an opportunity for you and there's a calling for you to love yourself the way you want someone else to love you. Love yourself the way that you want to be loved by someone else. And even in times when I've been in a relationship, I have noticed and realized that anytime I feel like I'm not getting what I need, the answer is always to go back within and to find out, what is it that I want? What is it that I need? What is it that I feel like I'm not getting? What is the love that I feel that I'm not feeling? And give that to myself. So I was journaling today and I came up with a bunch of places and a bunch of ways and a bunch of situations where we may be seeking love outside of ourselves when the answer is really inside of us. So welcome. Hey Pamela, nice to see you guys jumping on live, and hello to our replay watchers as well. So in a lot of different situations, in romantic relationships, in career, in business, in family and friend relationships, this topic comes up. Why are they not loving me the way I want to be loved? Why are they not treating me the way I want to be treated? Why are they not seeing me the way I want to be seen? Why are they not talking to me the way I want to be talked to? And all of this boils down to the same thing. And so I want to share it with you, and I want to know what resonates with you about it, whether it gives you a sense of freedom, because it certainly did for me. Hey Vera, nice to see you. So if it's true that whenever you feel like you're missing out on love in some way, that you get to go within and love yourself, then you can see situations in a different light. So in your career, at your job, when you feel like you're not being recognized for the work that you're doing, for the effort that you're putting out, for all of the, the hard work that you're putting in, and you feel like it's not being appreciated. I know that most of us have been there. What do you do in that situation? You can't force someone in any situation to do what you want them to do and say, well, you will tell me good job every Monday in the meeting, right? So how can you love yourself in that situation? How can you give yourself love in that situation? If the people at work are not celebrating you, if your boss is not giving you that high five, if your coworkers are acting like, you weren't a big part of the project, you have options, right? You can throw a tantrum, you can catch an attitude and all that stuff, but that's not the attitude or the lifestyle of a happy Black woman. You want to be happy, you want to live a good life, so you can go within and think about how you can celebrate yourself. If you're not being celebrated at work, and maybe that's not even the culture at your job, celebrate yourself. Have you ever done something really awesome at work and sent yourself some flowers, sent yourself some balloons, sent yourself, a gold watch for a good job, well done, taking yourself out to dinner, bought yourself that nice bottle of wine, whatever it is that you feel that you wish they would do, write yourself a card with a really beautiful note in it, a love letter to you about how incredible you are. The people outside of you are not the source of love. They're not your source of love. And so if you feel like you're not being appreciated, when you feel like you're not being celebrated, it's an opportunity for you to appreciate and celebrate yourself in exactly the way you want to be celebrated. I mean, there have been times when, I achieved something great at my job and it took me out to dinner, but it wasn't the exact place I wanted to go. I mean, call me bougie, whatever. I wanted to go to a certain place. So I'll just take myself out to that place I wanted to go to, and I'll sit at the table I want to sit at, and I'll order the lobster I want to order, and I'll, have the drink I want to have. And that is me loving me the way I want to be loved. And that can be you as well. So you're never at a lack of love. You never have to complain or moan about not being appreciated, because other people are not the source of your appreciation. You are the source of everything. And once I got clear on that, my life became so much happier. And when I forget that, and when you forget that, we get to remind ourselves that, you know what? It's all on me. It's not on them. Yeah, I wish it had gone down a different way, but it's on me. So that's how that could look like in your career. Another place in your career that I was thinking of today as I was writing out different scenarios here to share with you is when you're in your career, when you're in a certain place in your professional development, your professional growth, your professional experience, there may be opportunities that you wish someone would recommend you for. You wish that someone would put your name in the hat, and it's like, oh, that position opened up. How come so-and-so didn't put in a good word for me? And the truth is, you could have put in a good word for yourself. You could have put your own name in the hat. You could have requested a meeting with the key people who are making the hiring decision. You can take a chance on yourself. You don't have to wait for anybody to take a chance on you. So often we're waiting for somebody else to put us on. We're waiting for someone else to sign off on what we want to do. We're waiting for someone to give us credit and say, yes, she's good for the job, when you already know you're good. You already know you're enough. You already know you're right for it. And you have to love yourself enough to say, hey, I'm your girl, and so it doesn't make sense, and you don't have to be unhappy in your career or in your specific job or field because you're not moving up, because you're waiting for someone else to notice you and to point and say, oh, that girl's got something special. You already know you have something special, and you can be the one to share it with other people instead of waiting for someone to notice your light. As Black women, I believe that we do have a lot of black girl magic. We have so much. We have enough to go around. But at the same time, we often rely on other people to notice that magic, and we always want other people to give us our props. And even though we've been doing this for 10, 20 years, we still are waiting for so and so, such and such, to say that we've done a good job, when we are the people who can do that for ourselves. Just culturally, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for us to do that for ourselves instead of waiting for the dominant culture, the mainstream, the people who don't look like us to say, oh, she's good enough to be in Hollywood. She's good enough to be on the board of directors. She's good enough to be, in this video. She's good enough to be featured on this platform. And the truth is, you were born good enough, and you don't need anyone's approval or saying that, oh, she's one of the good ones. You get to say that for yourself, and you get to break out of whatever smallness you've been holding yourself to and say, you know what? I ain't got to wait for these people. I can take a chance on myself. I can, put my own name in the hat and see what happens. The worst anything anybody could say is no. And even then, the no is not a no forever. It's a not right now. And you get to continue to put yourself out there until you get what you want, because it ain't over until you get what you want. That's my philosophy. So those are a few places in your career where you can begin to love yourself the way you want to be loved by other people. Hey, Ginger, welcome, lady. I love that we got some live people here, and if you're watching on the replay, tell me what is resonating with you as well. So yes, we are born good enough, and so yeah, in the career arena, those are a few places where you can begin to shift your mindset and your behavior. The second place that you can begin to love yourself the way you want others to love you is in your business. In your business, when you are wanting your client to treat you a certain way, I realized a few years ago that my favorite clients are the clients who appreciate what I do for them. I mean, there's so much that goes into the work that you do, the products that you create, the services that you provide, the events that you put on, and to have someone be like, "Oh, that was all right, but I wish you would have done X, Y, and Z," and da, da, da. It's just like people can be ungrateful, and I began to make myself unavailable for people who are ungrateful, meaning I don't give in to people who don't appreciate what I do. If people, I'm not for them and they want a refund, I just give them the refund and just let them go about their business. I don't want that negative energy in my space, in my world, physically or virtually. So in your business, if you have people who are not appreciating what you do, and you want to be, how you like to be treated, and you feel like you're doing your best to provide for those people, and they're not seeing it, they're not appreciating it, they just may not be for you, and it may be time for you to let them go. Sometimes you have to fire certain clients. I love 99.9% of my clients. Do not get me wrong. I love my happy black women, but sometimes some people just end up in the wrong place. They don't understand the world of happy black woman, and they don't get what we're about, and they project, and they're just not in the right place. And so you can release people with love. You can release people with love so they don't mess up your mindset and have you thinking that you're not worth being in business just because they have a funky attitude. So if people in your business, whether it's your clients or team members who are catching attitude and not showing up for what they're supposed to be doing, then you may not be a good match. You may not be a good fit. And instead of waiting for them to change, you can change and release them from your life. You don't need to be holding on to people for years and years, or trying to work with the client for months and months trying to make them happy, and you're unhappy and you're getting unhappier by the day. And I don't care how big the client is. All money is not good money. So if in your business you are finding yourself saying, dang, well, nothing I do, it feels like it's ever good enough for this client or for this team member, maybe you're just not a fit. Some people you're just not going to please. And there are 7 billion people on this planet. Surely you can find someone that you can have a good working relationship with. So in business, definitely there's no need for you to be over giving and giving so much to the point where you don't feel like you're getting enough back in return. That's when you begin to resent your clients anyway. And who wants that? Nobody wants to be resented. And there's somebody out there for everybody. That's what I say. If there's somebody who will let you write them emails in all caps, but I'm not the one. And we will politely remove you from all email communication, so you can't even email me back. You would have to deliberately go and try to find my personal email address. So, yes, all money is not good money, right, Pamela? That's what it's about. Not waiting for someone to treat you a certain way, but you holding yourself to a certain standard. I got my mic on, just making sure you guys can still hear me. Holding yourself to a certain standard so that people know how to treat you. So that's business. The next place where you really can start to treat yourself differently is with your family. With your family, I know it's not easy to navigate difficult family relationships because I've done that many times myself, and it's an ongoing process. But there's so much grace that you get to give to people in your life. And grace is not the same as being a doormat for other people. There are certain people in your family that they just don't know how to love you. And it could be your parents, it could be your brothers and sisters, it could be your grandparents. Some people, they don't know how, and maybe they're not interested in learning how. And that is not your concern. You're not going to teach a 60-year-old person new things if they don't want to learn them. So yeah, maybe your mom didn't know how to be a mom, and maybe your dad didn't know how to be a dad, and you've gone all this time trying to make them treat you a certain way, make them love you a certain way, and acting out when you don't get that, and being upset and depressed, and putting yourself in this negative state of mind because you're not getting what you want from them. And the truth is that most of the time you're never going to get it. You're never going to get it from them. And that, realizing that, is very difficult, and it can be very painful, but it's not as painful as trying to force somebody to love you when they don't know how, or they may not be interested in it. And they're at the certain age where they are how they're going to be how they're going to be, and you get to choose, are you going to engage with this person? You're going to continue to engage with this person and not expect more of them than they're capable of providing for you. If dad was never there, holidays are a real step up, and you get to decide if that's enough for you. And if it's not, then you can choose how you want to show up or not. It causes so much more pain to try to force people into treating you a certain way, and they are not wanting to do that on their own. It's so much more painful when you're trying to teach a grown person what respect looks like, and it just makes you feel more and more unworthy every time you have to do that. So stop it. You get to choose and be like, you know what? I'm going to give myself that love. So what would that look like, right? So what would giving yourself that love that you're not getting from your family members look like? If you want mom to say, I love you, maybe it's time for you to tell yourself you love you. Maybe it's time for you to show yourself that you love you. Maybe it's time for you to take actions in your own life that prove that you love you, instead of waiting for someone else to prove their love. You can prove your love to yourself, because that's the only person that we have control over. You can pray about it, you can cry about it, you can do all kinds of things about it, but there's nothing that you can do to control another human being, especially a grown person. So in your family, there may be, toxic relationships, family members who don't know how to treat you, they don't know how to love you, and it's painful. But what I'm here to tell you is that it's more painful to try to make them be something that they're not. you get to love yourself the way you want to be loved. You get to respect yourself the way that you want to be respected. You get to treat yourself the way you want to be treated. And you get to choose how you engage with the people who don't know how to do that for you. Love to see you guys on the live stream. Hey, lady. So family is another place where you can begin to treat yourself differently. Another place is friends. Friends is another area where you may be surrounded by people who are more takers and you're more the giver. And that could be the dynamic in some of your family relationships too. And what I'm here to say is that you get to choose your friends. You actually, as a grown person, you get to choose your family too. I mean, you get to choose who you're around. Vera says, people say that's selfish. Who cares? Like, you get to choose if you're going to live your life based on what other people say. And if the people who are saying it are the very people who are making you upset, like, their opinion means nothing, literally. And for many of us, you may have to do some more inner work for you to get to that place where it's like, you don't even respect what I do. You don't even treat me how I want to be treated. Like, why do I care what you think? And it takes some time to get to that place. But when it comes to your friends, your family, who, they're more takers, you're more the giver, and you wish that they would give more to you, you wish that they would be there for you the way you're there for them, it's a simple shift. Pull back. Pull back and begin to give yourself the attention that you wish they would give you. If you wish that they would call when you are, dealing with something because you always calling them, maybe it's time for you to pull back. And this time, don't be the one who calls, not in a petty kind of way, like, oh, I'm not going to call you because blah, 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 but, because you're taking that time for you, because you need that time. Why give your time away to someone who doesn't reciprocate it when you are the one who needs that time for yourself? If you need that time for yourself, you can love yourself by giving that time to you, by being there for you. If friends who you feel like should be there for you are not there for you, fine. Be there for yourself. That's the only person you can control. Ginger says, I have so much peace of mind when I began to choose who enters my space, family or friend. Amen. Amen. Vera says, I love loving on me. Very true. I mean, transformation begins when you can see clearly what's really happening in your life. Like, you can see reality and come to terms with reality. And the reality is that there's some people who are just takers. They don't know how to give, or they're so used to you giving, they've never been required to give back to you. You've never required them to give anything back. You've even loaned money to people and never required them to pay it back, even though you wish they would just magically pay you back. Even though you always say, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's all right, it's all right. You have to also see the part that you've played in not requiring people to treat you a certain way. And so if that's going on in your friendships, I had to look at my friendships, over the years, and I'm always evaluating, and my circle has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And some friendships just, run their course and you grow apart and all of that. But there's some friendships that, may be toxic, and the person gravitated towards you because you are a giver, because you are a helper, because you are the one that, they know they can, put their head on your shoulder, and you'll stay up until midnight on the phone with them. And by the way, you got to get up at 5 a.m. to do what you need to do. But when you need them, they don't answer the phone, or, they take 9 years to text you back. Like, again, you get to choose who is in your world, and you get to protect your boundaries around how much you give without receiving anything back from other people. So be there for you, and, put your phone on silent sometimes, and, journal about what's happening for you and what you are wanting to create in the world. If the person's not picking up that you want to talk to, fine, talk to God, talk to your journal. be surrounded and surround yourself by things that support you. Turn on music that makes you feel good, and protect that time. And maybe that friend will come around, maybe they won't, but you have taken your power back in the sense that you're deciding that I get to love myself how I want to be loved. Okay, fine. You're not going to call me when I need you. Cool. I will be there for me when I need me. And maybe next time you need me, I won't be as available. And again, it's not a petty thing like, oh, I'm mad at her or we had a falling out, but I'm just now choosing to treat myself differently so that other people can be retrained to know what's required if they want to stay a part of my life. So that's how it can go down in friendships. And same thing with family. I mean, after a certain age, like, you really cannot tell me that you need all the people in your family. Like, you can do bad all by yourself, right? So just because someone is family, or just because you grew up with this person, doesn't mean that you have to continue the relationship. We place so much value on loyalty and years in, right? I got 10 years. We've been friends for 10 years, quote unquote friends for 10 years. No, that person has been using you to deal with their problems for the past 10 years, and you've been there this whole time. And now you get to find new friends, and you get to make connections with new family members, either blood or not blood family, who can support you as you go into your new season of life. So the last place that you can choose to love yourself the way you want to be loved by someone else is, of course, romantic relationships. And I save this one for last because there's so much conversation, especially around Valentine's Day, about having a loving relationship and how, it's so important to be with someone. And, even being in a relationship, I've been with my partner for over 2 years now, and, we spent Valentine's together for 2 years, and it's not a big deal for me. But what is a big deal for me is knowing that whether I have a partner or not, that I can receive the love that I want and need. Whether I have a partner or not, whether I'm in a relationship or not, whether I'm booed up or not, I know that I am the source of the love that I want. I know where I can get it from. So there's never a need to be lonely or to feel like there's something missing in your life. Certainly we all typically want to have some type of romantic love, but not at the expense of you, not at the expense of you not having boundaries for what you will tolerate. Not at the expense of you just tolerating anything because love, because relationship, because hashtag I got a man. And I've learned that. And one of the things, I'll share a few things with you around this topic, because whenever I talk about loving yourself the way you want to be loved by someone else, I'm really, not talking about the superficial stuff. Like, yes, buy yourself flowers. Yes, buy yourself, nice things, jewelry, if that's what you want. Wear the good panties. Stop saving them with the tags on in the underwear drawer. Wear them to bed for yourself. Do all of that. And the love that you will get from a partner can be great. The relationship you can have, the marriage you can have, all that is great. And I've seen it play out in so many different ways, throughout my life, seeing my family, women in my family, my girlfriends, and seeing clients go, there's ups and downs and all of that. The constant, even in a relationship, is how you feel about yourself and how you treat yourself. So many women get lost in relationships, and so it's not like you're going to get into a relationship if you're single and you're wishing and wanting something, or even if you're in a relationship and you're wanting that person to give you more. Because I've been there too, where you're in a relationship and it's like, dang, well, I almost feel like I'm single because I'm not getting what I need. I'm not getting what I want. You're not appreciating me. You're not telling me what I want to hear. You're not buying me what I want you to buy me. You're not taking me out to the places I want to be taken out to. And that doesn't make the other person a bad person or not a good man unless there's other things maybe going on. What you always can come back to is you. Like every time that's come up for me, it's because I'm missing something within myself. I am using the other person as a replacement for the love that I'm not giving to myself. Now, unless that is, again, unless you're with an unhealthy man, or you're in a relationship with, an abusive person, verbally, emotionally, physically, then it really does help to ask yourself, like, am I putting all these expectations on this other person because I'm not giving myself what I need? I'm not treating myself the way I need to be treated. And I'm like trying to force the other person or expecting the other person to give me like the basic respect that I'm not giving to myself. So, for example, if you want someone, like you're waiting for someone to buy you something, whether it's jewelry or clothing or lingerie or chocolates or flowers or whatever, like buy that stuff for yourself so you can feel what it feels like to be loved in that way that you want to be loved. And if the other person does it, great. It's a bonus. It's like icing on the cake. But when you do it for yourself and you don't wait for that other person to do it for you, then it gives you a sense of self-love that you can't get from someone else. Because if your love is always dependent on what someone else is giving you, your sense of worth is always outside of you. How do you feel about yourself? Well, it depends. I ain't got no man right now, and nobody's taking me out in, a few years. And so you feel bad about that. But when you know that the source of love is within you, you can always tap into it. And nobody can ever make you feel any kind of way for being in or out of a relationship, because you know that at the end of the day, you're the only one who can make you happy. So certainly Pamela, I mean, I've examined the whole thing, and it's been true for me that whenever I'm unhappy in a relationship, again, unless it's a somehow abusive or unhealthy relationship and I'm unhappy, it's like, okay, Rosetta, you want this person to take you out to dinner, but when's the last time you took yourself out to dinner? How can you expect someone else to treat you better than you're treating yourself? And so you can ask yourself in all these relationships, right? At your job, in your family, with your friends, with your romantic relationships, am I and are you expecting that other person to treat you better than you're treating yourself? And if so, what does that say about your sense of self-love and self-worth? If you don't feel like you're worth treating with the utmost respect and care and, spoiling yourself, why would you expect someone else to do that? Certainly there are people out there who will do it, but at the same time, you don't need to wait for somebody to notice how amazing you are and spoil you and buy you that jewelry and buy you that whatever. I went through so many dysfunctional mindsets around relationships, mainly because of what I was taught and what I saw in my own family, that I thought that a man buying me something was love. I thought when a man bought me jewelry, there were so many years of my life that I refused to buy myself jewelry because I thought and I was taught that that's a man's job. What do I look like buying myself a ring or buying myself a necklace? That's something that a man's supposed to do. The truth is that, yes, a man can do that if he should choose to do that and if he wants to do that, but you don't need to wait for that. You don't need to wait for that. It's not a form of women's empowerment to be like, yeah, I got, my man buying me all this stuff, because you have to be the one to say you deserve it first. If you are waiting, yes, it's nice to get gifts from people, but if you're waiting for that to happen, for you to have the thing you want, first of all, you'll be waiting a long time. Second of all, you're setting yourself up for depression and unhappiness down the line. Because when there's not a person around, what happens when there's not a person around to buy you the things you want? Are you not going to have them? You're not going to give yourself permission to have them. You're not going to give yourself permission to have nice things unless there's a man buying it for you, or there's someone who is, paying the bill. I was like that when it came to my birthday dinner. Like, for so many years, my birthday is on New Year's Eve, and I love to go out on New Year's Eve and get dressed up and do the hair and the makeup and the dress, and go out to dinner and have lobster and champagne and all that stuff. But for so many years, I would not take myself out. I would only go out if a man was paying for me. He was taking me out, and I felt so good about it. And then came the year that I didn't have anyone. I wasn't in a relationship. I wasn't dating anybody. I didn't have, anybody in my life to do that. And I was like, you know what? This kind of sucks to not be going out on my birthday. It kind of sucks to not be having the experience that I want to have. And why can't I just go out on my own? Yeah, it's an expensive meal or whatever, but I'm worth it. I'm worth paying that much for myself. And that's when things started to shift for me when it came to that area. So Vera says, okay, I have my own K jewelry account. Yes. So another place that I had to transform in my relationships, and I'm by no means, I'm sitting up here like I'm a relationship expert. It's an unfolding, and it's still unfolding. Probably until I die, I'll be learning more about myself and what makes me happy. But where I see so many women being unhappy and not being willing to love themselves first is, in this romantic relationship place where it's like, well, one day, so let's say you want to travel, you want to go to Paris, whatever. And it has become normal in our culture to say things like, well, one day when I find a wealthy man, when I meet a wealthy man, when I get married and blah, 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 and I find my boo, then, he'll take me to Paris. And that's just a form of it's just a very acceptable way of sharing how little you think of yourself. So let me say that in a clearer way. So when you express that you want something, but then the only way you'll allow yourself to have it is if someone else does it for you, that is a very clear sign that your sense of self-worth is on the low end. It's on the low side. So that was one of the things that I transformed for myself, because I was all about getting the wealthy boyfriend. And living in DC for so many years, I met several of them. Men with really great jobs, really successful businesses. They drove really nice cars, and I specifically targeted them. I thought that's what was going to bring me a successful relationship and get me a good man, is really targeting the guys who had money and who could give me the things that I wanted and take me places I wanted to go. And that was what I was taught, is a good man is a man who can buy you everything that you want. And I wasn't taught the other side of it, which is, what if you just don't want to be bothered? Who's going to buy me stuff then? I got to have my own way of providing for me. And that also allows me to leave a relationship when it's not working or when someone's not treating me right, because I'm not dependent on them. So anyway, getting to a place within myself where I said, you know what? A man has to have more than money to get into my life, like to be a part of my life. Because truth be told, this is not all of them, but many of them were quite boring. They were quite arrogant. There's when you start getting to certain income brackets and getting into the world of men who have a lot of wealth, whether it's their own or they have family money, because I dated, someone with that too. They're not always Prince Charming. It's not always the best situation. So, it sounds good, but still, men are men, people are people, and you got to find the right one for you. And so going through that process and learning that, hey, it's not all about the people who can buy me the stuff that I want, I got to the place where I created a criteria for myself when it came to relationships. And that was, if the only reason I'm dating this person is because of what they can buy for me or what they can do for me, then it's probably not the right relationship for me to be in. To put it a different way, I would ask myself, if this dude didn't have the money he has, if he didn't take me to, 5-star restaurants, and if he didn't, send a car to pick me up and put me in a limo and all that stuff that I'm so enamored by, if he didn't do all this stuff, would I still want to be with him? Like, if he was broke, would I want to be with him? And that was a criteria I gave myself to really see whether it was a good relationship for me to be in, among others, of course. But it got to the point where I was like, that is not love. And it was an unlearning of what I had been taught and what I had seen from women in my family. It's like, as long as he pays the bills, supposedly that's a good man. And I learned that that's not the case. There's more for me out there, and there's more for you too. There is true love that is not required to, buy you everything that you want, because you can do it for yourself. If you want to go to Paris, you can take yourself to Paris. And if your man wants to take you again, go again. Paris is always a good idea, as Audrey Hepburn said, right? You don't have to wait for the trip, for the diamonds, for the expensive restaurants, for the whatever, the fancy dress, to be in a limo, all the things that you are wanting that Prince Charming to come and provide for you to do it for yourself first gives you a sense of power and self-worth and self-love that nobody can ever take away. And you will never be fooled into thinking that that's love again. And I was in that place where I was like, oh, this is a good relationship. He's a good man and he's providing. I had a boyfriend once that he gave me an allowance. Like every payday, he gave me money, and I thought that was love. I've gone through this whole evolution of figuring out for myself what love is when it comes to romantic relationships. And it took me doing for me, me giving myself the things that these guys were putting on the table. And then I came to the point where I realized, hey, if you're not bringing more to the table than what I can bring for myself, then that may not be the right relationship. And not just like monetarily, but emotionally, being able to add to my life. Because I'm already a happy Black woman. I don't need, someone else to come and make me happy. And that's the whole point of this live stream today. The whole reason why it's important for you to love yourself the way you want someone else to love you is so that you can never lose love. You can never lose happiness, because it's not attached to someone else. It's not attached to having someone. It's not attaching to having people treat you a certain way. Because you cannot control people, and you will twist yourself into a pretzel and make yourself depressed and gain 50 pounds trying to do so. It is a losing game. The only thing that you can control is how you treat yourself and what you give yourself permission for. And when you give yourself permission to love yourself the way you want other people to love you, the people that start coming into your life, they can sense that, and you start attracting different people, different friends. Maybe even family members may start to change the way that they come at you. I had a boyfriend in college say, you carry yourself in such a certain way. I was afraid to approach you. I'm like, good, because my goal is to turn off 90% of the men out there, because if you ain't about nothing, then I just don't want you to even talk to me. Don't say anything to me. Don't look at me. Don't say anything to me. And that's the vibe that I give off. And I'm glad about that. I don't want to be approachable to everybody. I don't want to be accessible to everybody. If I'm intimidating to you, good. Stay away. Stay over there in the intimidated corner, because I'm not for you. So when you start loving yourself the way you want other people to love you, you start to carry yourself in a different way. You hold your head higher, your back is straighter, and you really just have this presence and this aura that, oh, I bet not step to her. I bet not mess with her. I better not, come into her life, because I'm not at the place that I need to be at. I'm not ready for that. And there may be people who will say that to you, and don't be offended by it. Don't be upset by it. Accept their truth, that they're not able at this time to treat you the way you want to be treated. I've had people say, oh, you're too much for me. And I'm like, good. I'm glad we figured that out now, because there's no need for us to go 5 years down the line and you figure that out, the night before our wedding. Let's hash that out right now, right now. So, that's what I wanted to share today, is the importance of you really giving yourself permission to not play small, to not hold back, and to not wait for someone else, whether it's at your job and your family, and your friends, or relationships, to waiting for someone else to give you that love. Because when you do that, your sense of self-love is always dependent on what other people do or don't do. And it is an emotional roller coaster. Vivian Green had it right. It's an emotional roller coaster. And you don't need to be on that. You don't need to be that way. You don't need to live your life in that place. So from one happy Black woman to another, I invite you to explore places in your life where you can love yourself the way you want someone else to love you, or the way you've been waiting for someone else to love you, or the way you've been fighting for someone else to love you, and see how your mindset shifts. See how your experience shifts. See how the way that people respond to you shifts, because the shift always happens inside of you first before it starts to show up to other people in the world. You have to have a shift in your inner world before it begins to show up in the outer world. So this process is worth it. You're worth it. Take the time, be in the process or whatever season you're in, and have fun with it. Wear the good panties, get out the good china, open that good bottle of wine, take yourself out to the best restaurant, because you deserve it. And there's so much more where that came from. You can think you're taking yourself out to the best restaurant in town, and then, once you experience that, you're like, oh, there's a better place across the street. I never even noticed that. As you up-level yourself and your life, you will know and you will realize that there's even more where that came from. There's even more abundance for you to experience. There's even more happiness for you to feel once you start loving yourself the way you want to be loved, once you start treating yourself the way you want to be treated. This is just the beginning. This is just the baseline. There's so much more you can do, and there are higher levels to go as you grow as a happy Black woman. So with that, I want to say I have a wonderful rest of your evening wherever you are. If you're watching the replay, I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love for you to leave a comment and share with me what resonated with you from this topic, any action steps that you want to take now that you have explored this area in your life. And I love all of you. I want only the best for you, and I want you to treat yourself well. Until next time, ladies, have a wonderful rest of your evening. And, if you want to give yourself the gift of a live Happy Black Woman experience and be in the room with some incredible women who are loving themselves to the highest level this year, come to one of our upcoming live events. We have a ton of events planned. All you have to do is go to happyblackwoman.com/events. I know some of you are already signed up for some of our events and retreats, but if you haven't checked it out, go to happyblackwoman.com/events and give yourself the gift of being surrounded by some incredible high vibe women. All right, ladies, talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.